What would the rewards look like after hunting 100 monsters in just one expedition? I attempt to find out to see just how many rare materials we can get. Will I get a lot of mantles, or will I fall short? Watch to find out. I was prepared for the expedition, but once I was in, I would not be allowed to leave until I've hunted all 100 monsters. I chose the Hoarfrost Reach because it's my favorite map, and I had some goals which I hoped to complete by the end of this challenge. The first 2 hunts were a Biototus and a Tigrex, and after beating the Tigrex, I got this. Mantle! That's the first one, let's go! I go for Barioth and Banbaro, and tried to find something that would add to my goals, the rare endemic life at the peak of Hoarfrost. I failed to find it, but the reason I wanted to catch it was because I only saw it one time almost 4 years ago when playing through Iceborne. So this time around, I was set on finding it again and catching it for real. I hunted Viper Toby and Ebony Odo before hunting Biototus again to make room for better spawns. I hunted Shrieking, Banbaro again, and began hunting Barioth, but then ditched it for Ebony. And this is where things got more interesting. We're gonna spin a wheel, and whatever condition it lands on, I have to do for the next 10 monsters. All right, here we go. It landed on colored gear only. It landed on colored gear only. Okay, here's the color wheel. Black. So I had to only use black gear. This included decorations, which none are black, which meant I had to go through the next 10 hunts without decorations. I saw another Tigrex on the map, but I didn't want to go for it since I didn't want any duplicate mantles. So I opted to hunt Barioth instead, but quickly felt the effects of not having the guard skill. When hunting Viper Toby, I had to play differently to beat it, and then Savage Joe appeared. With the lack of good skills for Charge Blade, this was really difficult. I ended up fainting twice before eventually taking it down. I had to switch things up again when hunting Ebony because of how fast he was moving, but after severing its tail, I carved it and got this. Mantle, let's go! Got the second one! I hunt Legiana and then take some time to explore an abandoned ship before trying to find the rare jellyfish again. I tried sitting around waiting for it to spawn, but got impatient and hunted 2 Shriekings back to back, followed by normal Legiana. These hunts were painful because of my major ice weakness. I see another Ebony, but like with Tigrex, I didn't want duped mantles. So I went for a third Bio, and still found no jelly. I again waited for it to spawn, but while I wait, you might be wondering why I'm hunting this many monsters in the first place. Over a year ago, I did the same challenge hoping to get a lot of rare materials in the reward box. But at the end of it, I found out there was a limit, making the rewards not all that worth it. I was going to do more, but since we knew the limit, there wasn't much point in doing it again. At least in Rise. A while back, I noticed a comment in a post I made a while ago. It said this: back in World, I farmed an expedition in the Wildspire Waste, and when I was finished, I got 48 Wyvern Gems, 22 Rathian Plates, 16 Rathian Gems, 33 Bird Wyvern Gems, and 12 Deviljho Gems. So yeah, it was a pretty good hunt, I would say. Now, he never said how many monsters he actually hunted, but the claim begs the question, is there no limit to the reward box in World? By taking on this challenge, I would put this claim to the test. I hunted Monster 20, and it was time to spin the wheel again. No upgraded gear? You kidding me? This essentially downgraded my set to only be craftable gear. Oh, by the way, from this point on, I'll be referring to monsters that drop mantles as mantle monsters, and ones that don't as non-mantle monsters. Speaking of non-mantle monsters, are you kidding me? Duplicates? I had to hunt one of them to make room for mantle monsters, so I went with Bio because it's the fastest to beat. After coming short of finding the rare jellyfish, I hunted Shrieking Legiana and finally had a different monster to hunt in the form of Fulgur Anjanath. Because of my not-so-good gear, these hunts took a bit, and I was getting wrecked pretty hard. I ditched a hunt with Barioth in favor of Tigrex, but then it despawned, so I went after yet another Snowfish, and then hunted another Legiana. After that, hunts 26 through 30 went about the way you'd expect, considering I had unupgraded gear. But this is where I realized something. Velkhana hadn't spawned yet. I hunted all monsters that spawned in the Hoarfrost Reach during the expedition except the Ice Dragon. I already know that Stygian and Rajang don't spawn in the expedition, but I knew for a fact that Velkhana does. So surely it would show up at some point, right? I didn't have time to think about it as it was time to spin the wheel again. For this one, I had to have fair fights basically. No attacking a monster while it's down, when it takes a breather when exhausted, or even when it leaves the battle. I also couldn't use unfair advantages like buffing with items, having your palico with you, flinch shotting, or tenderizing. If I broke any of these rules, I had to allow myself to get hit. I struggled to hunt Legiana like this at first, but it was actually quite fun, and I got it down the honorable way. This is where I had to get off for the night, but there was a huge problem. When I did this challenge in Rise, I could just pause the game by opening the Switch menu and putting the console to sleep. But here, I didn't have that luxury. You can't save during an expedition unless you claim rewards via the handler, which we don't want for obvious reasons. I was also playing World, which is a game that can't pause, and I was on PC, which meant if I wanted this run to continue, I would have to leave it on overnight. But this came with two major risks. One, the game crashing, or two, a power outage, both of which could happen at any point during the run. What made this even worse was that there was a scheduled power outage in my area that would happen soon, so I had to be fast if I wanted to see the reward screen at the end of this. So I'm gonna get ready for bed, and I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and hope that everything is still here and still running.
Okay, everything's all good.
With the game still running, I was good to go. When hunting Shrieking, it was sleeping at first, but I wanted to battle it. The only options I had were letting it wake up, or waking it up myself using a rock, which could be considered dishonorable, but I would allow this for later hunts as I didn't want monsters sleeping at all. But this time I allowed it to wake up on its own, and then started the battle. But as soon as it started, I began to struggle. I would sometimes mess up, which meant having to get hit. The hunt took over 20 minutes because not only was I rusty with the longsword, but not being able to tenderize meant my damage was minimal at best. When fighting Viper Toby, I was getting impatient due to how long it was taking, plus having to wait to get hit after breaking a rule. And this went on for 19 minutes. But what happened next would push me close to my limit. I wanted to hunt Fulgur Anjanath honorably, but knowing what was at stake, I tried to rush the fight, which led to many mistakes and frustration. It actually got so bad that I had to stop. So I took a break for 20 minutes, and when I came back, Fulgur was still there, and I intended on finishing the fight. But I ended up struggling even more, and then it left the locale. As upset as I was, I knew that by being frustrated, I was not being an honorable warrior. So I had to take another break to clear my mind. Once I came back, Fulgur spawned again. I had another chance. This time, I was more patient with the process. I did mess up a few times and it was still a pain, but I finally got it down. This is when I realized I didn't know how to use the special sheath. You know, the longsword move added an Iceborne. But even if I knew how to use it, I thought it was overpowered and didn't allow it for the honor challenge. But when practicing it, I realized it wasn't as broken as I thought. However, even with the new move under my belt, I still struggled. The Banbaro fight was much more painful than it should have been, which meant I had to take a break again. On Hunt 35 though, I was doing much better against Viper Toby, but Barioth took much longer and thus became more difficult. Because of how painful this was, I went after 2 Biototus just so I could get closer to spinning the wheel again. I hunted Shrieking as the 40th monster because I at least wanted to get a mantle, which after a somewhat painful hunt, I didn't even get one. Oh no, I just realized if I get no tent access, I'm stuck with the longsword. Oh, okay. This one was self-explanatory, but after that wheel spin, I came up with a new strategy. I've hunted 40 monsters already, and the majority of them don't drop mantles or don't give mantles. And since I want to get as many mantles at the end as possible, I want to avoid hunting the monsters that don't give mantles at all. You know what? My new goal, which I should have started at the beginning of this challenge, is to get at least 15 mantles in the reward box. I can only hope we can get that many. I checked the top to see if the jelly was there, and still nothing. After that, I basically had to spam Slinger Burst with Sword and Shield for the next 2 hunts. After not seeing the rare creature yet again, I hunted a Shrieking and then 2 Legianas back to back, which didn't pose much challenge. That was until Savage Joe appeared. With my limitations, this became the hardest fight thus far. And that's mostly because of the disgusting amount of health it has. This took 35 minutes, and after all that, I still didn't get a mantle. And just when I thought I was done with that, are you kidding me? Another Joe appeared. I decided to wait it out because I was not doing that again. I failed to find the rare jelly again, and then this monster showed up. Oh wait, no. So the other monster is Ebony Odogaron, which is not much better than Savage Joe. I decided to go for it since I figured it can't be worse than Joe, right? Little did I know that even when tenderized, Ebony doesn't take much damage from slinger ammo at all. I honestly thought of just going for something else, but I didn't have much choice since it was either this, Savage Joe again, or a non-mantle monster. So I kept fighting it, but Joe kept interfering, which was actually a good thing. It kept dealing 500 damage to Ebony, which made up for the lack of damage on my part. After 21 minutes, I finally take down the Ebony Odo. If it weren't for Joe's extra damage, this hunt would have taken ages. I waited for more monsters to spawn when... No, not another Ebony Odo. No. I did not want to hunt that again, so I waited more. A Tigrex appeared, which was finally something I could deal with. After that, there were no other monsters on the map except Ebony Odo. I figured I would muster up the energy to fight it, but as soon as it began, Ebony despawned. A Legiana appeared, so I went for that instead, and then hunted Shrieking as the 50th monster, which now meant we were halfway done. Oh no. I can't access the tent for the next 10 hunts. With this one, it was simple. I couldn't go in the tent at all. But as soon as I started, I already broke that rule. Okay, so I just accidentally went in the tent. I'm gonna need to just faint to something just to make up for it. Bruh, you missed. Oh, there we go. After that, I had to get off for the night, which again meant I had to risk leaving my PC on. I wake up the next day, and everything was still running, thankfully. But there was a problem. Even after hunting 50 monsters, Velkhana still wasn't spawning. I really hope we can get Velkhana in the next 50 hunts, because if we don't, then the goal of getting every monster available in the Hoarfrost Reach will be left unmet. So I kept going. I hunted Barioth and still failed to find the rare jelly again. But then I found another problem. Oh no. Oh no, because I can't go in the tent, I can't store these materials. I'm gonna have to swap some out every time I carve a mantle monster. I hunt monsters 52 through 54 and tried looking literally everywhere for that darn jellyfish, and still couldn't find it. So I wait at the top for 3 whole minutes before going around gathering items as a way to restock. I hunt monsters 55 and 56 and started getting desperate for the rare endemic life. Where's the rare jellyfish? At this point, I finally decided to look it up. So apparently, in order to get this thing to spawn, it has to be a clear night, which by the way is not true because the clouds are still up there in the screenshot, with the moon slugs not appearing in caves. I was looking for the thing at the wrong time of day entirely. After hunting Shrieking, I did more gathering and checked to see if the slugs were in the caves, which of course they were. Despite that though, I waited at the top for several minutes until I had to hunt 2 more mantle monsters. But this is where I ran out of stamina items, so I had to actually hunt for my food. After cooking a bunch of meat, I took entirely too long to fill my stamina and hunted Ebony Odo before having to spin the wheel again. No Slinger, Clutch Claw, or specialized tools. This was pretty much the opposite of Slinger and Clutch Claw only, except now I couldn't use mantles or boosters. But at least I could use the tent now. But again, still no Velkhana! After hunting Legiana, I took time to relax in the hot springs. Then I began hunting Banbaro, but then ditched it for Shrieking Legiana. Once I took that down, I finished the fight with Banbaro. Then I saw both Legianas on the map, but given that I couldn't use mantles, I didn't want to take the risk. After one of them despawned, I hunted Shrieking and broke a rule by mistake before getting hit to make up for it. This is where I find out that because I couldn't use Slinger, I had no access to the summit, so the rare jellyfish would have to wait. I hunted monsters 65 through 68, and I was going to ignore hunt 69 because I didn't want to entertain the funny number, but then this happened. Oh, I got my third mantle, finally. Oh, wait, no, now I have to include 69 in my video because I got the third mantle on that hunt. No! No! Now, even with that embarrassment, I did get the final mantle for the mantle goal. I hunted monster 70, and once again, it was wheel spin time. Wow, it was just barely touching the line. I could only use moves from 4 ultimate, so no moves from Iceborne for this one. Similar to the Honor Challenge, if I broke a rule, I had to get hit. I was using a Charge Blade set with this limit, which actually made some fights pretty easy. I hunted 2 Savage Joes, and even they fell to my file damage. I did make mistakes in some of the fights, which meant having to get hit a few times. I still couldn't find the rare jelly, and because I had nothing else to do but wait, I decided to deliver a Heat Rock. I don't know, I just felt like it. After hunting another Joe, I was now 77 monsters in, but again, no Velkhana in sight. At this point, I had to look it up. But I couldn't find much info about Elder Spawns in expeditions other than they appear randomly like other monsters, which didn't explain why Velkhana still didn't appear after this long. I hunted monsters 78 through 80, and it was time for the next challenge.
On-site items only would be a nightmare.
Not entirely, but it would make gathering a pain. Anyway.
Now that I've said it, there is a statistically higher chance it says that. Yep.
Okay, well, it just landed on it. This one is similar to the no tent challenge, but I can still use the tent, but not for restocking on items. I didn't allow the use of whetstones and had to get wetfish instead. But at some point, you'll see why that ruling changed. Because of this, I had to go around gathering resources and hunt for my food again. I probably should have gathered hot peppers first since my stamina drained real fast when gathering, but I eventually got everything, cooked all the meat, and hunted monster 81. At this point, it was really late and I had to get off. But before I did, before I go to bed, I really need to check. See if the rare endemic life is up there. No way! It's up there! It's up there! No way! I gotta get up there. Please don't despawn. Please don't despawn. I gotta hurry. Get up the thing, get up the thing. No! Oh wait, yes! Yes. It's still up there, right? Come on. Please still be up here. It's still here. Yo! Look at it! This thing's huge! My gosh! Yo! Okay. Catch it! I got an achievement for it! For the first time! And with that, another goal was completed, and I slept for the night. But when I woke up the next morning, the worst thing that could have happened actually did happen. No. You gotta be joking me. No. This was really upsetting. I was 81 monsters in, and the game crashed on me. This meant I failed the challenge and would have to restart from the beginning. With the scheduled power outage happening in a couple days, I honestly thought about just quitting right there. But I had to know what the reward screen was like. I had to confirm that comment's claim. So with new motivation, I prepared a strong set and set out to catch up. I would not stop until I was fully caught up. Got him. 81 monsters. Now that I was caught up, I could finally move on. Now, because of the crash, I was a bit paranoid that it would happen again, and even considered throwing the challenge wheel out the window. But I decided not to because I wanted to stay true to the challenge. I'm very hesitant to leave my PC on overnight. I'm honestly just tempted to just finish the challenge tonight, but that would not be realistic. I would end up pushing myself too far. I left the computer on for 2 days straight, and that might have done something to the graphics card, hence the text that showed. So what I think I'll do to alleviate the load is to put my computer to sleep. That is probably the only way I can do this without that thing happening again. I just really hope this works. Before going to bed, I went gathering to try and have things how they were before the crash. And then it was time to put my PC in sleep mode.
I'm gonna attempt to put it to sleep. This doesn't always work, but the game can still be on nonetheless. There we go. The computer is now in sleep mode. I'm gonna sleep for the night. See you in the morning. Okay, it is the morning now, and I just turned my computer on. Let's see whether or not the game will still be on. Yes! It's still on!
With the game still on, it was time to finish this challenge. I hunt Monster 82, and then I find something special once more. It's up there! I gotta go get it. There it is! Yes! No, come here. Come here. Ugh. No! Don't disappear, please. Come on. There we go! Oh, I got it! Finally! Now, even though I was relieved to catch the rare jelly again, I had to keep going if I wanted to keep it. I hunt monsters 83 and 84, and then set a bit of a mini goal to hunt every small monster on the map, which I did. After hunting monsters 85 through 89, I take down Fulgur Anjanath as the 90th monster. We were now at the final stretch, the last 10 monsters of the run. But leading up to this was a glaring issue. See, during the run that ended in a crash, I had to wait a bit for non-mantle monsters to despawn and hunted them as little as possible. But in order to catch up after the crash, I had to hunt as many monsters as fast as possible while still prioritizing mantle monsters. The big issue here was that there were far more of these monsters that took up the spawn slots. As a result, I ended up hunting a lot of them in order to catch up. The reason this was a problem was because it could majorly affect the rewards. This meant that parts from non-mantle monsters could take up reward slots where mantles could go. So by hunting this many non-mantle monsters, I may have just doomed the rewards. But then again, the RNG could go in my favor. It's done so before with the mantle and gem carves, and even with the rare jellyfish. So I prepared myself for the last 10 monsters, knowing that even though my chances were low, they were still attainable. Okay, here we go. This is the final wheel spin. Let's see. 3U move set. Similar to the 4U rules, I can only use weapon moves from 3 Ultimate. This time though, the Charge Blade was banned because it didn't exist in 3U. So my only other option was the Sword and Shield, as it's one of the only weapons that can still use the old moveset. Hunts 91 and 92 were non-mantle monsters, but I didn't have much choice but to go for them. Hunt 93 was a Tigrex, which was good, but then I had to hunt yet another Bio, followed by Banbaro. This time, I would try my best to hunt only mantle monsters when possible. Sadly, though, I had to hunt 2 Biototus back to back because they just kept spawning. With only 3 monsters left to hunt, that was it. I was done hunting non-mantle monsters, and only wanted the last 3 to be ones that give mantles. So I waited. And thankfully, a Tigrex showed up, so I went for it. But as I engaged it in battle, a Legiana and Shrieking Legiana spawned. I really wanted my last hunt to be spectacular, so what better way to end the run than by hunting both Legiana and Shrieking at the same time like I did earlier. But I had to beat Tigrex first. Unfortunately, due to my limited moveset, the hunt took much longer than I wanted, and as I went into the 99th hunt, I was hoping Shrieking would stick around. I don't have dung pods. This is gonna be a challenge for sure. I don't want to slide. Ugh. Oh my gosh. I'm screwed. No, I'm not. I am not screwed. Oh, yes. Shrieking will leave. No. 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 I refuse for my 100th to be anything weak. Don't stop me. I'm dead. I'm dead. The wheel had to land on 3U moveset, didn't it? Don't leave, Shrieking. I need to fight you next. Come on, come on. Shrieking's gone. He's gone. He's gone. There it is. That's the 99th monster. With Shrieking leaving the map, I was discouraged. I wanted so badly to end this run with a bang, but maybe I would get another chance. What? The same 3 monsters. Why? I am willing to sit here and wait for them to despawn for either Savage Joe, Fulgur, or Shrieking. Not these 3. So I waited several minutes for a better spawn until finally... Really? Tigrex? Do I want this to have an exciting ending? Or do I want this to end before anything bad happens? Honestly, I'm just gonna go with the latter. I just can't escape Tigrex, can I? So I hunted Tigrex as Monster 100. It wasn't the ending fight I wanted, but it was at least a mantle monster. And with the final monster down, it was time for the results. So I'm about to leave the expedition. If we don't get any mantles from this at all, then this definitely will be for nothing. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. What will the rewards look like? I'm just gonna rip off the band-aid. There's 16 pages! Okay, I gotta check them all. Next page. I'm not seeing any mantles yet. Oh no. Large Wyvern Gem. Oh no. No. Gem, but no. Gem again. Okay, there's 2 mantles. We've got 5 pages left. Come on. No. 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 Are you serious? I got 48 Wyvern Gems, 22 Rathian Plates, 16 Rathian Gems, 33 Bird Wyvern Gems, and 12 Devil Joe Gems. So yeah, it was a pretty good hunt, I would say. This isn't over. If anything, this was the most rewarding part of that entire journey.